Episode 24. Picture this. Two doctors sit down to talk. One asks the other, "Tell me about a time when you helped a patient who was very sad." The second doctor shares a hard story. She had to tell a mother that her teenage son had the same genetic disease that had killed his father 2 years ago. This disease, called Marfan syndrome, affects how bones grow and can weaken the heart. Imagine having to deliver this news to a mother who had already lost her husband to the same condition. At the University of Rochester Medical School, they're trying something different. Instead of teaching doctors to hide their feelings or toughen up, they're teaching them to face difficult moments head-on. Why? Because many doctors try to protect themselves by becoming emotionally distant, treating patients like problems to solve rather than real people who are suffering. Here's the surprising part. Trying not to feel anything actually makes things worse. It's like putting up a wall that blocks out both the bad and the good. Sure, you might feel less pain, but you also lose what makes the work meaningful, the chance to truly help someone in need. This isn't just about doctors. Teachers, police officers, social workers, parents, and many others face the same challenge. Their jobs can be exhausting, but they're also deeply meaningful. When we try too hard to protect ourselves from stress, we can lose the very thing that makes our work worthwhile. Every week, a group of doctors meets for 2 hours. Here's what they do. 1. They start with something called mindfulness. But it's not what you might think. It's not about relaxing or escaping. Instead, it's about paying attention to whatever you're feeling right now. If you're sad, you notice how sadness feels in your body. If you're worried, you notice that too. The goal isn't to change these feelings, but to understand them better. 2. Then they share stories. 1 week they might talk about helping someone who was dying. Another week they might share stories about mistakes they've made and what they learned. They listen to each other without judging or trying to fix things. Instead, they ask questions like, "What made this moment special?" Or, "What did you learn about yourself?" The results have been amazing. Doctors who went through this program felt much better about their work. They were less burned out, less likely to feel depressed, and actually found more joy in helping patients. Even though their work was still stressful, they handled it much better. The author shares a powerful story about losing a student to suicide. Instead of trying to forget this painful experience, she let it change how she taught. She began focusing more on helping struggling students, making sure they knew that failing one test or class didn't define their worth. What started as a terrible tragedy became the foundation for making her a more caring and effective teacher. A mother's challenged the story of Julie, who was trying to adopt a baby. She and her husband had been foster parents to a 1-year-old for a whole year, but they didn't know if they would be allowed to adopt the child. The waiting and uncertainty were incredibly stressful. Julie's mother helped her see things differently. Instead of just focusing on the stress, they talked about why Julie wanted to be a foster parent in the first place. They remembered that someone needed to help this child, even if it was hard. This conversation helped Julie find strength in her stress, rather than being overwhelmed by it. The main message is powerful. Stress isn't always bad. In fact, the things that stress us out are often the same things that make our lives meaningful. Instead of trying to avoid stress completely, which is impossible anyway, we can learn to 1. Talk about our challenges with others who understand. 2. Remember why we chose to do difficult things in the first place. 3. See stress as a sign that we're doing something that matters. 4. Help others see their own strength when they're struggling. How we talk about stress makes a big difference. Instead of just complaining about it or trying to ignore it, we can share our experiences with others who understand. Look for the meaning behind our struggles. Help others see their challenges as proof of their strength. Remember that doing important things often means facing difficult moments. Sometimes the most meaningful parts of our lives are also the most stressful. That's okay. What matters is how we handle these challenges and what we learn from them. Life will always have stress. That's not a bad thing. It often means we're doing something worthwhile. The key isn't to eliminate stress, but to understand it better. When we do this, we can turn our challenges into sources of strength and meaning. Remember, the goal isn't to live a stress-free life. That's impossible. But to live a life where our stress points us toward what matters most to us. When we share our struggles with others and help each other find meaning in difficult times, we all grow stronger together.